Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this episode of the How to Play Chess series, we will be covering another tactic known as the skewer. The skewer is, I don't think it's as well remembered as the forks or pins, which is a shame because it is and can be a very effective tactic in the right situation. Considering today's board position, let's have a look at what the skewer does. So it's black to move, and black decides to move the bishop on b8 to a7, threatening the queen here on c5. Now there's a couple of different things that could happen here. White could, for example, capture the bishop with its rook on a1, but this isn't a great idea because then black can recapture with the knight on b5. And that's essentially an exchange of a bishop for a rook, which isn't advantageous to white. So there's a couple of different moves that white could do here. There are a few checks available, but I want to show you what will happen if white decides in this moment to move the queen on c5 to c8. Right now, white is checking black's king, but white is actually doing something else at the very same time. You'll notice that the king and the rook on h8 are currently along the back rank, the 8th rank. So they're essentially aligned. In this particular board position, we know from previous videos, if you've seen them, please go back and watch them, that when in check, the king must move and essentially capture the piece that's attacking, or another piece will capture it, or a block needs to happen. In this particular position, black cannot block, black cannot capture white's queen, so the only option that black has that's a legal move is black must move the king, either to e7 or f7. Let's just say the king moves to f7. So what's now happened is the moment that the black king has been forced to move, the rook on h8 is now open to capture, and white can do anything it wants right now, but I would capture this rook, and now I'm up in material and I have a massive advantage over black, which now I have a queen and a rook for a knight and a bishop. So if I go back one moment, this is known as the skewer. You are essentially threatening a more valuable piece, and if it chooses to move, which in this position, because it's a check, the king must move, the less valuable piece is now open to capture. So it's not as memorable as the pin, because the pin that we've already discussed previously is when you're threatening a less valuable piece for a more valuable piece, and essentially you're keeping it pinned there, especially if it's going to lead to a check with the king. This is still a really great tactic to remember. I might just show you a different type of board position where the piece doesn't have to move. So bear with me one moment. Might just add some pawns. Okay. And I'll take the king out of check. So let's just say that in this position, black decides to move its queen currently on f7 to f4. And I've just realized now that this is a pin. Let me swap these two around. There we go. And let's add a protector. Fantastic. Okay, I'm happy with this board position now. Just making it up as we go. So black moves to f4, and originally I would say white can recapture the queen on f4, but now I've added a defender with the bishop. So essentially it's an equal exchange, but still. What is happening here, if black chooses to, is if white doesn't move, if white doesn't move the queen, then the bishop on the same rank, right, the 4th rank, is safe. If, however, Actually, we've got the king in check. There we go. So if white moves the queen, then what will happen, anyway, the queen can move anywhere, maybe here, maybe not a check, because then black will be forced to respond to the check. Here we go. Let's just say for any reason white decides to move the queen. It really doesn't matter where, as long as it's not a check. Maybe white retreats and goes here, for example. Now the bishop here on b4 is open to capture. So this is an example where we have a more valuable piece being threatened, and it's well defended by the bishop, still an equal exchange. But here, if white moves the more valuable piece, which is the queen, then the less valuable piece, the bishop, is now open to capture. So now I've just shown you two examples of a skewer. It's very, very effective when you attack the king, because the king, unless it can be blocked or that piece can be captured, the king must move, and then you can capture the less valuable piece. Or you might have a board position where you are threatening a queen or a rook, and then when that piece moves away, you could potentially win a minor piece like a bishop, a knight, or even a pawn that's on its way to promotion, whatever suits the board position most at that point in time. So the skewer is definitely a good tactic to learn, and as always with other tactics I've said before, try and look for opportunities where you can use them. And I think a lot of people forget about the skewer, so come back to this video whenever you want to refresh, or you want a refresher on tactics. And as always, yes, look for opportunities to skewer your opponent's pieces, but also look for opportunities or threats when they might do the same back to you. And yes, you'll essentially lose a minor piece, but depending on the board position and depending on where the game's going, that could lead to your downfall, unfortunately. And likewise, you could capture your opponent's minor piece at a time when they really needed it most. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye.